Hello, everyone, and welcome to WinCat Sports. Today, we are going to talk about the Lions draft, how we feel about the draft. Statistically, it was actually rated as a really, really good draft, despite how a lot of the fans feel. Right, exact opposite, because they want defense, they want more offense. So we'll go pick by pick and how
with
we feel
only
about
some
them.
of the picks.
So we'll go pick by pick. Let's see how we feel about all of them. First, of course, was Gibbs, taken pretty early on in the draft. Right, he was picked with the 12th. We traded back from the 6th pick to the 12th pick, right? And we got him. I think we only got him because we couldn't get Bijan, and they were worried about him going at 15 and not 18. He did have some pretty good rushing and receiving numbers at Alabama and Georgia Tech between those 2 years, right? He had 383 attempts for just over 2,000 yards, averaged about 5 yards a carry when he was rushing and passing. He was averaging through his 104 receptions. He had 1,200 yards and averaged about 12 yards per reception. So I think he did pretty good. I think he's going to be a really, really good piece in the backfield.
Well, supposedly he was the second best running back in the draft behind Robinson. And, I can't deny his talent, but I am not really sold on why we took a running back at 12. To me, a running back is something you can get in the later rounds. Charbonneau from UCLA was a good running back. He was available late in the later rounds. But, we'll just have to see now. He's part of our team. I think basically the message was to DeAndre Swift, who just got traded to what is probably going to be who we face in the NFC playoffs, the Philadelphia Eagles, basically told him you're not going to be part of our future. Obviously, that was what they were saying. So, like I said, wait and see. Overall, not bad. Just where they picked him.
What are your thoughts, Dan?
He's a phenomenal player. I mean, you can't get past that.
Fast.
Obviously, if they wanted Bijan, they could have had him at 6 if they wanted him. It comes down to basically who Holmes likes, and he's a hybrid wide receiver running back. Does both equally well. With Williams being out 6 games, they're going to have both Montgomery and Gibbs on the field at the same time. Gibbs will probably be as a wideout for quite a few times. They're going to use him in every way possible. A lot like the Saints used Kamara. So I like everybody else, we all wanted Jalen Carter to work out because that's basically what you want. You wanted that big lineman in the middle, but they didn't like him.
Neither did a lot of other teams.
Right? Seattle didn't like him.
He dropped to 10.
And
so
Philadelphia was in a position to be able to handle him. What I also kind of like, well, with Gibbs and the person we're going to talk to eventually, both from Alabama, I think it gives Williams somebody familiar on the team, somebody to hang out with, maybe someone to keep him on the straight and narrow.
Yeah. I do think I agree, right? But I think he will be really, really good. I mean, he's going to be replacing Swift, but he is going to add that speed factor. I think both our running backs are vastly improved on last year. Moving on to our second first-round pick, which, again, a lot of people were kind of iffy on where we took him. Happy about the player, but iffy where we took him was Jack Campbell, right? As I've looked at the stats, I was very surprised at what he did in his last 2 years at Iowa. He had 299 total tackles, 139 of them solo. The main thing that I found surprising was that 265 of those tackles were in the last 2 years at Iowa, basically averaging over 10 tackles a game, right? His sacks were 3 through his career at Iowa, forced fumbles 3, interceptions 5. But he is going to be someone who's probably going to be pretty difficult to get by in that backfield, right?
Running. I mean, he seems like he's just a baller, a dog, like Campbell is looking for. Big guy. I think he's like 6'5", 250. He's got a lot of size to him. So hopefully he can he's actually known for his pass coverage. And hopefully he could play the line as well. I liked where they picked this guy. I really did. He was ranked pretty high, as he was supposed to go, I think, in the top 25 anyways. So, yeah, I liked the pick. One of the few picks that I could say they got where they should have.
Correct. I love the guy. I mean, but the thing is too is he loves them. Dan Campbell loves them. Holmes loves them. These guys, I think that's what we need to get used to around here is that with all these mock drafts and everything telling you, well, this is the person you should take, and this is,
Says
they're
nothing.
going to take who they like, and this guy measures up to what Dan Campbell sees as a football player. Hard nosed, maybe not perfect, but you know he's going to give you everything he got, and we need help stopping the run. And obviously, I'm starting to think more and more they're pretty happy with their defensive line right now, much more so than the rest of the Detroit fan bases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I am looking forward to seeing him play alongside what's his name? Rodriguez. Two young guys who are hungry, who can ball out.
As much as people love that guy, though, he might not even be on the team in a couple years. He's not. He can't cover anybody. He's a terrible coverage linebacker. He's
got to learn
one thing. Yeah. He's got a motor, and again, he gives everything he got. That is Rodriguez.
Yes.
Thing. The guy just will run through a wall for you, and you can't say enough about things like that. But ability-wise, he has a lot of shortcomings. Not a very big linebacker, and can't cover anybody.
We'll see what ends up happening, right? We got both those young linebackers now. We'll see if maybe Campbell pushes Rodriguez out, but you also have Anzalone who's leaving in 3 years.
Anzalone, so I always thought was, I don't know, he's kind of a substandard linebacker.
Well, but he's played really well for us.
He played well the last few games, especially that Green Bay game.
Yeah,
he was solid. And I think that
above what we thought he was,
that won him
above that. What we thought
that won him that Green Bay game got him another contract with us.
And what kind of defense are we at? There are a lot of people speculating we're going to run more of a 4-3 this year. And Derek Barnes might turn into more of an edge rusher because that's what he was at Purdue. He wasn't a linebacker.
So we'll see what ends up happening. We'll move on to the second round now with the first second round pick that was taken. We actually took a tight end, which my dad called right there. We got Sam Laporta.
I want to
Iowa.
Called 3 players in the second round, all 3, starting with this one.
So, right, we got the guy out of Iowa who's very, very well known for their tight ends. He didn't do bad at Iowa. He had 153 receptions, a little over 1,700 yards, an average about 12 yards per catch, 5 TDs. He was first. Now he's first in career receptions at Iowa and second in receiving yards at Iowa as a tight end. So he did make some records at Iowa as a tight end, which is kind of impressive. So I think he is going to be a really, really good piece for the offense.
Yeah, they brought Campbell's teammate with him. But I don't understand using a third-round pick to get a – was he a third or second?
This is a second.
Sorry, I'm sorry, YouTube. Second-round pick to get a tight end. Why didn't you look at Mayer from Notre Dame? He was ranked higher.
And he went next.
Yes, and he went next. But like you said, these guys know something we don't. And maybe they just like what they see. I kind of thought Zylstra and Wright were 2 decent, not outstanding tight ends. Obviously, they wanted to upgrade the position. So, again, we got him. He's our guy. Let's see how he produces. He could be another Gronk for all we know.
I can't. Like I said, I thought it was a great pick. I hate this idea, and like again, here's what you hear in the mainstream media: this whole they don't use a tight end. Well, they don't use a tight end because they don't got one. Now they got one, and they're going to use this tight end, and you're going to use them in the red zone. This guy is fantastic in yard after catch. He has got great RAS scores, like all of these guys they drafted. This is a big deal with them. They use analytics a lot. I love the pick. I can't wait to watch him.
Yeah. I think him and Brock Wright on the sides are going to be very, very good. You're going to have 2 good catching tight ends on top of your running backs. Now, Brian Branch, right? His stats, right? He was our next pick that we got, right? 172 total tackles, 111 solo, right? That was pretty good. Passes defended, 23, right? Sacks 4, interceptions 4. So he didn't do bad at Alabama for his 3 years.
Could be one of the steals that we got out of the draft. He was ranked very high as a cornerback. It's a need that we needed to fill. And we got him in the third round. And yeah, I look for good things from this guy. I don't watch a lot of SEC football, but I watched enough of his highlights. This kid does man coverage very well. He plays the ball very well. And other than that, you know, he could be the steal of the draft for us.
It's the best pick in the draft for me. I love it. It's he's going to probably replace Gardner Johnson, and I'm all ready for it. Him and Kirby and back there for the next 5 years. I think it's a great pick. He to me. I think you're going to see him in the Pro Bowl inside of 3 years.
I didn't think of it that way, that he would replace Gardner Johnson.
Yeah,
because they got him on a 1 year contract, and then they'll just say, "Hey, this is your job."
And he's versatile.
You and
he
Joseph
doesn't just play safety; he plays nickel corner. You can use him in a lot of different spots. He returns kicks. He's great. That was my favorite pick of the draft.
Now, we kind of got him as a steal because that was in the second round. He was predicted to be a first round. So
yes,
ever since we were younger too. What has always sucked for the Lions, besides mostly everything, but it was their secondary.
Yep.
They could not defend anything.
Except for Spider-Man Jimmy Allen.
When was that? 1980s?
Yeah.
But like I said, great pickup.
So, yeah, moving on. That was a good pickup. Moving on to our third round pick, right? The first one, which surprised me, getting Hendon Hooker out of Tennessee.
Although Mike called it.
I called it. I called the first 3 picks in the second round.
He did really, really good, right? At 66% completion. He threw for almost 9,000 yards. He averaged almost 10 yards a pass, 80 touchdowns to 12 interceptions throwing. Right. Rushing wise, right, he did have 518 attempts for over 2,000 yards, averaged about 6 yards per run, and 25 rushing touchdowns throughout his collegiate career. He did play 3 years at Virginia Tech and 2 years at Tennessee. It was a little bit longer. He is older. I personally do not think he is Goff's replacement completely. I mean, unless Goff ends up sucking the next 2 years. But I more see him as a bridge onto the next quarterback instead of being that future quarterback, unless he does turn out really, really good.
I was totally shocked by it. I was actually in my car when I found out that they drafted him, and I almost pulled off to the side of the road to yell a big WTF. But I can see why they did it. They don't have a quality backup. This guy's coming off an injury, and he's going to take time to develop. This is what this guy is. He is a project right now. He has about 2 years and to learn a pro-style offense, which he did not have in Tennessee. And I disagree with you in that I think he is being groomed to be Goff's replacement. They are not going to pay Goff what he is looking for, which could be anywhere between 40 to 50 million. And I think if I was Goff watching at home, that's what would go across my mind. But he is more mobile than Goff. He's quick. He has got an arm, which is something that Goff has had trouble with, the deep ball. I've said that before. So, yeah, I look forward to seeing what he can do once he heals up.
Yep, another great pick for me. I mean, this is smart. You got 2 years to groom this guy. He has better physical skills than Goff. He's mobile, better arm. He's very smart, he seems. So I don't think he'll have a problem switching over to the pro style. It'll take a while for him to learn, but the intangibles, I mean, you got 2 years to work on him. How can you not like that? And
that's
this is
what
all
he is.
about managing your cap. This is all about value and not overspending. Are you going to pay Jared Goff 40 to 50 million? Well, if this guy comes in and he plays well and you have confidence in him, you got your quarterback at the very least, even though he's older, you got him for 5 years.
Yep.
And if you want to renegotiate and see how he's doing, I mean, I think it's a win-win-win all around. I think Jared Goff is smart enough to realize, hey, I'm just going to play my butt off and play as hard as I can. I'm going to be a good teammate. I like it here.
And we like him personally.
Right. Everybody loves we like Jared Goff. And I think we're going to win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff. But I think it's very smart to put yourself in a position where if he prices himself out of being here, you got a great backup.
I think organizations are
coming in.
realizing that they don't have to spend top dollar to win championships.
It is all about money. It is all about money and spending it wisely on the right people. All right, let's go on to this guy.
Moving on to the other third-round pick, which I wasn't too happy with requiring it, how they did. I didn't think they needed to trade all their other 3 picks to get this guy. But late third-round pick trade, right? They would have got Broderick Martin, right? He had 70 tackles in total, 30 of them solo, 3 defended passes, which I found a little bit surprising with his speed because he isn't that fast. He had 4 sacks and 1 forced fumble. He did play 2 years at North Alabama and then Western Kentucky for a year. So he did play for 3 years, not in like big school names, but he did play for 3 years. He is definitely going to be a project. If he gets conditioned and he gets better with his strength and his speed, he could be somebody who could be difficult to stop.
Well, I can honestly say, of course, I don't know much about this guy. I can't tell you the last time I watched a Western Kentucky game. Well, I've never watched one. But looking him up, he's about 6'5" and about 330 pounds. He's a big body in the middle of that defensive line. So he's a project. Hopefully he develops, and because we need a run stopper along with McNeil, because Buggs isn't going to be there forever. So you're going to need someone next to McNeil on that line and next to Hutchinson in the middle to stop the run.
This is where we got Brad Holmes for. This is what we got him for, to find these diamonds in the rough in the later rounds. He has one job. You're big. You're giant. You're supposed to stop the run. It's not. There's nothing complicated about what this guy can do.
Yeah.
And from the tape, I mean, you're looking at him play what kind of competition? I mean, Western Kentucky, but still, I mean, if he can do it, that's what we got Holmes for, to find these guys.
He's a young guy, and he's got a couple of years to develop. He's not someone that's going to be a sack master by any means, but that's not his job.
Yeah. Our 5th round pick, which we don't really have a lot of information on because he came from William and Mary, very small school, was an offensive lineman, Kobe and Sorstel. So, overall, I told you I don't got information on him.
Oh.
Right? We don't get information. So, offensive lineman, Kobe Sorstel, he looked pretty good in the highlights. So, I think he might be someone who could help that line.
Again, just like Martin, he's a big dude. Again, another gigantic offensive lineman. Maybe with this new running game that we are developing, all these new guys coming in, like you said, Harold, we're a run first type of offense. Maybe he's somebody that they can develop into being a good run blocker. Other than that, I don't know much about him.
Right. This is another pick. Trust Holmes. See what happens.
Yep.
Yep. And hopefully he turns out well. He probably will be in the running to replace Vaitai. Or
Vaitai's a bum.
Yeah, that'll be probably where he's going.
I wouldn't say that, but okay.
But moving on, right? We lost all our other picks, but we did pick up a 7th round pick in that amongst the trades and then moving up in the 7th round with that Swift trade, we ended up picking Antoine Green out of North Carolina. He did have 90 receptions for almost 1,700 yards, averaged about 17 yards per catch, which is pretty good. He had 15 TDs at North Carolina. He was there for 5 years. With all this COVID stuff, there's a lot of people who played an extra year in college. I think he's going to be a really, really good piece amongst all our other wide receivers, even when Williams comes back.
Yeah. Of the highlights I saw of him, again, don't watch many Tar Heel football games. Good size, good speed, good wingspan. And eventually, maybe they can find room for him because Reynolds won't be with the team forever. He's an older guy. Yeah, maybe he'll end up developing and being a good player.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I said, I watched some of the film on him. I was really impressed. I think he has all the things that Ed said, and I think having 3 guys out there who all run under 4 or 5 40s, that's going to cause some problems.
Yeah,
that's going to cause some problems.
Very fast.
And speed kills.
Yeah. And then there's one guy I did want to talk about amongst our draft stuff. It was an undrafted free agent, but we got him after the draft.
Yes.
Mohamed Ibrahim, right? He did really, really good at Minnesota. I'm surprised he went undrafted. He rushed. He had almost 900 rushing attempts, 867 for a little over 4,600 yards, averaged about 5.5 yards a carry, and had 53 touchdowns. 20 of those came last year, along with a 1,700 rushing season last year, which this is after an ACL tear. His receiving wasn't that bad. I threw it up there just to have the numbers there. It was 14 receptions for 145 yards, averaged about 6.2 yards per reception.
Yep.
So, I mean, he's not really going to be that much of a receiving back, but rushing-wise, he could be a really, really good third running back on our team. I mean, he now leads Minnesota all time. He's our all-time leading rusher.
I think that this guy could be another steal for us. I have no idea why he wasn't taken, because he does have size. He's fast. He tore up the Big Ten when he played. He was one of the best running backs in college football, I feel. And I don't know why anybody didn't give him a chance. Maybe they thought he was injury prone. Maybe it was personal issues. I don't know. But Holmes, for some reason, liked him. And he will be a good third back. And he might work himself into a number 2 back. You never know. This guy is that good.
Yeah.
Like I said, we'll see if they're going to probably carry about 3, maybe 4 running backs. And if they do that, he probably will be the 4th. We liked Reynolds last year. Every time the guy touched the ball, he runs the ball hard. This guy might have more. And if that's the case, then maybe Reynolds will slip down to number 4. That's what running backs are. You got to have a stable of them, because once they get hurt, you got to plug the next one in. And it looks like that's what they're doing. You'll have one of these guys on the practice squad just in case something happens. Yeah. And behind that offensive line, who knows? I mean, you could, any one of these guys could run for 100 yards a game. So I'm happy with that. I mean,
it's going to be an interesting year. I don't think the Lions did terrible in the draft. Certainly, they could have got better people in some spots, but I think they did pretty well. Holmes got who he wanted to get.
Well, it's just funny how you got guys who rate this an F and guys who rate this an A.
It wasn't an
F. Across the board, and it's all across. It's silly. It just shows you how you can't take mock drafts and things like that seriously.
Yeah.
It's just for us. It's just to occupy our time between the seasons. It's like fantasy football, just something to keep us interested when our team might be sucky. I mean, this is what it is. So don't take it too seriously. Let these guys do their job. I mean, you're starting to see what he likes. I mean, Holmes likes a certain psychological profile, people that meet that. And these guys all seem to be pretty good character guys. Williams is the one that's kind of standing out that doesn't really fit that kind. but he's not a bad guy. I'm not trying to say anything negative about him, but that's why I like that he drafted Branch and Gibbs in a way. I think maybe they'll help Williams out, being from the same school, probably knowing each other.
Said, hey, get your shit together.
Yep.
Yeah, kind of things like that. And maybe, like not everyone needs a little help. And maybe he needs a little extra help. We got to get him going, though. I mean, Williams is big this year. We got to get that guy going.
Which was what I was waiting for. I was anticipating. But again, he's not here for half the season.
But that's our thoughts on the draft. If you liked what you saw, comment, let us know what you think, right? Like the video, right? Share, subscribe. And
yes, please subscribe.
I hope to see everybody soon.